The best is yet to come.
Is yet to come. The best is yet to come. But here again, maybe here I'm going to be a little bit, because I'm a self-development and I want to. The best is yet to come, but you need to take action. I want to talk and discuss, not talk. I want to discuss with you guys about changing our life projection. How many of you are happy? And let's say, okay, because I know not everybody want to write down, disclose this information, but how many of you are more than, let's say, 90% happy where you are today? Because I believe that this answer most likely apply to all of us, right? That's why I said like 80% exactly. All of us have some areas in our life that we're maybe satisfied, maybe not. When we look at the life in general, so there's always something that, because that's our life, right? It's very dynamic, there's always challenges. But when we look at where we are today, how many of you actually thought about or take the time once in a while to think about how did I get to where I am? Do I like where I am? Where do I want to be in the next 3, 5, 10, 20 years? And whether or not, if I try to look at everything that I have now, everything that's going right now in my life, have you ever tried to see the projection of where it's going to lead you? Because a lot of people, they put goals, right? A lot of people, I want that, I want that. But when you look at right now at what you're doing, let's say when I say right now, it can be in the past month, in the past year, the past 3 years, 5 years. I found that rather than just having a goal, combine it with actually looking where I am now, what I'm doing now, give me a much more accurate projection of where I am actually going to be in the future. And I can see it when I'm looking at the past. Does that make sense to you guys? If not, I'll try to articulate it differently. So again, I'm asking you, like, how many of you actually doing and trying to look at your future projection? Do you think you can estimate rather accurately where are you going to be, not where you wish to be, but where are you actually going to be in the next 3 or 5 or 20 years from now? Which is a little bit different than setting goals, in my opinion. If you disagree with me, just say so.
Yeah, I tend to set goals, long-term smart goals, and then I set action steps. So,
okay. And when you set, like, let's say the goals that you set 3 years before, 5 years before, have you reached them? That was to you, Jenny. Again, a question for everybody, right? And rather than after that, also is another question, is the goal that you set for yourself and the life that you have right now, is it really life that you find purpose, meaningful, and is it really the life that you want to have or not? Because I know many people who set goals, and then when they reach the goals, they're not really happy because the goals they set were not ecological for them. They were not what they really desired. The reason they set the goal was a little bit off. Again, not the topic for today. Let's make some thought experiment. Okay? Happened many times. Yeah. Many times happen what, Darko? About setting a goals, accomplish them, and then can you elaborate a little bit?
Yes. Many times I will set a goal and create a vision, and I think when I'm going to reach this goal, everything will be different. And I will accomplish the goal and then say, okay, what is different? But that it was, I want to share that it was happening mostly previously when I was just choosing a goal to do something. But recently, when I start more analyzing that, I feel that the goals I'm setting now are more aligned with myself.
Yeah. Well, you've done a lot of process, right? You learn a lot. You did a lot of work. So now
Yes,
you're way
a
more
lot of-
aware how to
Yes.
set goals which are aligned with you, right? So this is part of the
Yes.
thing. Because when we don't have aligned goal, we take decisions that can bring us eventually to live a life that we're not very happy with. And a lot of us
Yes.
might feel stuck, or we feel that we want to change. But it's also a good thing, the ability to see that the choice we made in the past put us on the path we are walking right now. I find it very empowering because it means that all I have to do in order to change my life is start to choose differently. So let's take an example. This is the thought experience that I want all of us to.
I think William wants to say something.
Yeah.
Yeah, may I come in there, Matt? Yeah,
Sure.
I agree with you totally, but really life to me, because I'm maybe a little older than most, is a journey. And we never reach those destinations we ever wish to, or think we can meet. So every moment is really that decision point. And so every moment, we don't have a goal, but we have moments to choose in a way that we wish to go. So never a goal, not for me anyway, but just to be positive in a way at that moment that is progressive. If that's helpful or not.
Yeah, I agree with you that life is a game. Okay, not everybody see it or can feel it, but I agree with you. Life is a journey. You said a journey. I say life is a
Journey.
game. And yeah, so you said journey. I like to say that life is a game. And therefore, we can always and it's not like a win or lose game. For some people it is, but not for me. But still, even in your journey, there are things that you want to experience more, and there are some things that maybe you don't really want to experience, right? So when I'm talking about life projection, some people will speak in terms of goals. Some people can speak in terms of, okay, what do I want to experience? Some people will be focused only on the present moment, and it's also be okay. And, maybe unconsciously, subconsciously, or from a higher power, or from their soul, karma, whatever they believe, they will create certain, the next chapter of their journey. No right and wrong, everything is okay. But when we talk about decision, again, let's go back to the thought experiment. Most of you, I believe, are right now in China. Most of us here, as at least the people who open the camera, and I can see, I'll be very happy if more people can open the camera. Most of us here, we are foreigners here, right? And it's very different from most of the people, from most of our countrymen, because most of them live in the country origin, right? So how did you guys do it for yourself? And if anyone wants to share, you can share in the chat, or I'll allow you time to speak. But how did you came to be here, right? I'll give you an example. Now, we can be very, very detailed, and we can make it very general. I'll make it very general. How did I find myself in the life that I have in right now? Let's go back to, let's make it more general, okay? So after, when I was 17, I had one of my mom's friend, he had a school for massage. And he knew I like to, to treat people and do all of this. So he told me, okay, come to my school. You can learn for free. It's 1-year course. They teach you many types of massage. And there's also another program of reflexology. And you can do this also for free. So I got, like I said, okay, great. And I started to learn very intensively for 1 year, reflexology and massage. Then I went to my army service, and then I traveled for 2 years. And then when I came back, my decision was, okay, I want to study. One of my teacher was, he was also a TCM practitioner, even though he teaches massage. And I decided, okay, now that I finished traveling, I come back to Israel, I would like to study TCM. That was the first very, huge choice in life, right? A lot of people, what am I going to learn after UAE? So I've studied, and after a couple of years of study, we had some problem in schools. My school shut down, and then I had another decision to make. Which school am I moving to? Now I had TCM, sorry, yes, traditional Chinese medicine. So I studied TCM and I studied Shiatsu at the same time. And after the school closed, I had another big decision to make. I had two schools in mind that I had to decide. One of them was called Broshim, and one of them called Seminar Kibbutzim. In Broshim, you had an amazing teachers, you have a program that I really, really like. But in Seminar Kibbutzim, which was also very good, but they had an option once you graduate to internship 4 months in China, while the other school only had like 1 month kind of traveling in China. Which one do I choose? Okay, so I chose the Seminar Kibbutzim. I completed, graduated from there. Then I came for China for only 4 months. The idea was coming for 4 months, going back to Israel, right? And then I made, after these 4 months, after I finished my internship in the local hospitals here, I made another decision. I said, oh, I love China. China is great. I want to stay here a little bit longer, right? And then, okay, so you stay in a place, you get to know people, Then I met my wife. I decided to get married, right? Then we have another point in time was COVID. So COVID, during the first 3 months, we had 3 months here of quarantine. During these 3 months, I saw many people struggle. And I was looking for a way to help these people. This is where I decided to open my online community. So I opened the Human Potential. You see my background, parentals, and IRLS for couples. And that brought me, just from helping other people, it brought me to write the books, to do all this webinar. Later on, I wrote like 5 books. 2 of them you can see in the background here, and some of mini books. So the decision that you had in your life, when you look at where you are today, you can probably summarize it to very certain decision that you made somewhere along the way in your life. I'll give you a minute or two to do the same quick process for yourself if you haven't done it so far. And then if anyone wants to share, just for fun, feel free to, again, in the chat or unmute yourself. And then we see what we can do with that. Just take a moment. You can open your eyes, close your eyes, and try to trace back to critical or less critical moments in your past that eventually lead you to be where you are today. You can do it in general. You can think of a very specific aspect of your life, like your health, like your relationship, like your finance. It's also nonsense. You mean challenge of the unknown? Okay, unknown, I see it's something that repeats himself. So do you guys mean that you decided just to step into the unknown? But unknown could be any other place in the world, right? So why China, for example? Like,
I
from
can tell
all
you,
the yeah. Mhm. Please do.
I can tell you my decision, because I had quite a successful company which I sold many years ago, and during that time, I was offered the opportunity to import tools to the UK, which I couldn't do because I was pretty busy in the bank. I bank a lot of money and family and things like that. And when I got divorced and after I sold the company, I thought I want to go to China and do that again. So, but I knew no one, did nothing, and just thoroughly jumped in and enjoyed it. And like you, after about 6 months, met my wife, and that was it, really. That's the essence of destiny, really.
Yeah, but this destiny happened before because again, you made a choice in your case, and maybe also Jennifer, like jump into the unknown, right? And are you happy with this decision?
Every moment,
Every moment.
every moment, because so far so good, Matan. It's so far so good.
Right? So to try and make it a little bit more helpful, how about those of us here that are not very happy with where we are today? Or focus on this 20% that we are not happy where we are today. Why are we not happy with them? And what exactly are we doing, whether or not we're doing anything to change it?
Well, I would say just two things really. If we live in the past, we have depression. If we live in the future and we don't know what's going on, we have anxiety. If we live in the present, no problem at all, because the present is the only important moment in your life.
True, and you're a present advocate, and I'm with you. But again, for most people, they might find it very hard to change their emotional state in the present, that whatever happens around them will not disturb them. Most people, it's still struggling with being very zen or very stoic or very being, very happy even while they are sad. That makes sense, right? And
yeah, that makes sense.
For those people, how can we help them? Because sometimes if I just tell them, okay, the present is important, just make it. People do want to experience a certain journey. And a lot of people, maybe lack of experience, maybe lack of faith, they don't have the same trust or the courage or the ability to make the same decision as you are, Williams.
I
people,
totally
if you
agree.
tell them, do that and just live and trust the universe, they're not going to do it, right? So what can we do for this?
I totally agree with you. I totally agree. Well, one of the things I would do is explore the way the mind works. So I'm saying the first thing I did many, many years ago, probably 30 years ago, was NLP. And really, that's really a very, very, let's say, way to consciously understand how we operate and interact with each other. And the second thing is, of course, the more adversity we have, the more we are in tune with the world. So it's not easy. It's not an easy thing. So I think when one suffers, when one feels one's not happy, that is a time to realize that you are progressing towards happiness. That's not easy.
Yeah, it's not easy. So that's one of the things, again, I don't want to veer outside the context of today too much, but this is one of the things that I want to aim for today, together with everybody, right? It's giving people the understanding that whatever they're not happy with their life, or whatever kind of journey or whatever new page they want to write in their book, they are able to do so. But there's for a lot of us, there's something that blocks us from taking these kind of like decisions. I give you an example. When I grew up, and everyone that heard it, or everyone that had the same belief at some point in his life, or everybody that heard it from his teacher, parents, etc., write one in the chat. So when I grew up, I heard many times that at the age of 30, you start to decline. How many have heard it before? Raise your hand. Press one in the chat. Let's see. Yeah, you're doing yes. Raise your hand. One. That's it? Nobody else heard it before? That after a certain age, around 30, you start to decline? So how do you think that hearing this when you're a child affect you when you are 30? How does it affect you when you are 40, 50, or 60? I mean, when you get older, I'll talk about myself, okay? So for many years, I thought, okay, you know, like I'm getting older. Oh, I already missed my best part of life. The prime years of my life were wasted because as an Israeli, from 18 to 21, when everybody else going parties and having fun and working hard or start doing university so they can have an early start, you know, going into the market, I serve in the army. And then you start study. By the time you finish study, I was already 30. And then I thought, whoa, wait, now I'm starting to decline? It took me a while to understand that not only it's not true, because when you look at other people, you can see, you know, when we look at other people, we can see other people that, you know, maybe you look at the KFC and you say, oh, he already succeeded when he was in his 50s or 60s. Or when you look at some athletes which are very, you know, in their 80s, or so, you can see these people, but it's one thing to see those people, because automatically, if we don't believe it ourselves, if we don't experience ourselves enough, we say, oh, it's there, they can do it. I can't. Because it's embedded so deep inside us that we already started to decline. I had to push myself physically because I was a physical guy. I was always training martial arts and in the army. So I had to push myself physically to start making this change in my mindset. That in the age of 30, I'm not starting my decline. So when I was 32, I was actually in my prime. I broke all my previous records. I was in my top body, top shape. And then what? Then you keep getting, you know, you keep age is coming, and then I'm in my 40s. And then what? So do I regress again? At what age do you regress? Right? So I said, okay, 40, okay, I need to be even better than I was in my 30s, right? But, and again, then COVID hit and you know, I have to start again and things like that. For a lot of athletes, it's been a problem. But then I would like to share with you a video, right? If I may, I don't know if it's work or not, a short video. Let me see if I can share my screen a little bit here. And okay, go back to the Zoom, share, where do I share my screen? Here. Can you see my screen, guys? Give me a thumbs up if you can see. Yeah, okay, yeah, I can see. Okay, just less than 1 minute. Okay. Short video. This is I have the privilege to train with him. He live in Chengdu, so sometimes we go to the bars, we train together. How old is he? Take a guess. Put it in the
48.
chat. 48. Okay, Adrian, is this supposed to be 60? We're in China. I don't know what's this mean. 56?
60.
60, 45, 60. Yvonne, I like your
60.
spirit. 80. So, anyone else want to put the number? Let's see who's the winner. Put the number. Don't be shy, guys. Put the number. Let me know you're with me. 60, 68, 72, 65, 44. Okay, so we have a winner here. Augustine, you're the closer one, okay? He's 74. And
His is
what you
going
see
in the
there-
middle between 60 and 80.
Yes, he's 74. And this is nothing. Like what you see now in the video is nothing. It's just like a video that he sent today. He's doing way more impressive stuff. How many of us would have been, and again, I said we can look at our life in general, or I can use it as an example to certain point of our life and have this projection in our life that we will be able to do these kind of things in our 70s, in our 80s, right? I'm a physical guy, again. So for me, this is very, very inspiring, motivating, and helped me a lot to make sure that every day I keep on training, keeping my lifestyle, because this is one aspect of my projection for the future, to keep training and doing this amazing stuff when I'm in my 70s and in my 80s. For other person, it might be finance. For other person, it might be the relationship, right? But a lot of the time, and again, if you think that I'm incorrect or if it doesn't valid for you, that's okay. And you can do it like, you can absolutely correct me or interfere. That for a lot of us, because of this embedded belief that we haven't changed still, it's very hard for us to take the decision right now that will create this projection that 20 or 30 years from now, we'll be able to have in our life, act in our life, do in our life, share in our life, whatever it is that we want. I don't know if it makes sense for you. Let me go, while you think about it, let me see it. People say, I'm almost doing the split and can handstand for a few seconds, but my goal was to do split and handstand for 10 seconds, had to extend my time frame, but still going for the goal. Yeah, I remember, Adrian, that you said it like a while back that you want to do that, right? And that's great, right? Keep on. So you need to, maybe what you need to see is I'll send you more videos of people that started to train when they were in their 50s and 60s. And then now you will see them when they are like 5, 6 years later, you will see them, very flexible, becoming a beast. Because what I want to say, it's never too late. Now you can tell me, wait, if I'm already that, yes, it might be too late for some very specific aspect. It might not be possible for you to, but if you focus on that, you're going to miss out everything which is possible.
I think Yvonne has a question in the chat. At what age did he start?
At what age did he start? Well, again, he was a soldier. He was in the army here in China, and he did it for many, many years, right? But again, I also know a lot of people that started when they were in their 50s. And I know some people that started when they were in their 60s. right? And that's exactly my point. This question, I'm not attacking you specifically, but I said there are certain questions that we ask that might be originated from this same belief that we say, oh, no, he must have doing this all of his life. And I was saying, no, right? And then like, don't focus on why and what. When I'm saying that the decision that you made in the past, whether consciously or unconsciously, brought you to where you are today. They brought you to where you live in the world, whether China, Australia, or whatever it is, or Greece, whether or not you have or happy in your relationship, or you are in a relationship, your finance situation, whatever it is that you have or don't have right now, you can most likely track down, like we did, to a certain critical decision that you made before. I found it super empowering because imagine that no matter how old you are now, assuming that you're not going to die in the next 10 years, what kind of chapter would you like to write down in your life? Relationship-wise, financially-wise, physically, health-wise. What can you do today to do this, right? Some of you said something about relationship. Let me track it down back in the chat if you don't mind. Feel free to comment meanwhile, yeah?
I want to share at some point when I was younger, I was doing a lot of some period I was doing physical training, and now I'm struggling to start again because of this beliefs that I'm too old, so and things like that. So yes, but and this is something that is stopping me many times.
So I'll show you, here's what I'm struggling with, right? Pre-COVID, the COVID itself was very, very light for me. Okay, I had it for one day and that's it, done. But a lot of people, they did have like the long-term COVID. A lot of me and my friend, especially people who were training at a very high level, or relatively high, we found out there was a huge decrease in our performance. Now, so let's say like that, right? Before COVID, I used to go, and here's another inspiring okay. So before COVID, I could hold my breath for 5 minutes. I would train every day 3 hours physically, and then go for another 1 hour run. Okay. Post-COVID, for half a year after, my wrist, my elbow, I could barely do like 10 pull-ups. Like where before I used to do like 140, just like, in maybe 20 minutes. Okay. I can barely hold my breath for 2 minutes. It's a struggle, going for 5 minutes, because I like free diving. Okay. So going for holding my breath for 5 minutes into 2 minutes, it's very hard. It's very, very hard for me, right? But that's the thing. I know that each and every one of us is capable of amazing things. So my recovery, I never aim to be the same I was before. I always aim to be 110% better. I don't go into self-discussion, self-dialogue, whether or not I can do it. Why do I have? I'm not. I only focus on what I want to achieve, and I make sure that every day I'm doing the necessary step that I need to do in order to get. And surrounded myself with people like the old fellow here that I showed you your video, or for example, in the winter, pre-COVID, the last winter pre-COVID, I went to Beijing in the winter to swim because in Chengdu it's not cold enough. So I went to swim in the lakes, the ice lake. It was 0.1, 0.4 degrees. And I was the youngest person there. Yeah, I was 40. Everybody else were like 70s, 80s. And I can be like, in 0.1 degree water, I can be a couple of minutes. Some of them were like 10 minutes. Some were really like, and they don't get hypothermia, they don't get anything. So surrounding yourself with those kind of people, bring them into your life, people that, and some of them started in the age of 40.
Concha, man.
Right? So it's the same idea. Now, one of you said about your relationship, right? I'm not happy with my relationship status, which there is nothing in the relationship, and I don't know which decision led me where I am. Well, the decision that most likely led you to where you are now might have been passive. What do I mean? You might took decisions that were based on your limited beliefs, on your fears. Maybe you didn't go, and maybe you thought you're doing enough, but you didn't proactively check what of the other, how do I make my marriage better? So maybe you didn't take coaching, maybe you didn't go to therapy, maybe you didn't divorce, maybe you didn't break up the relationship, not maybe, you didn't, right? Because that's why you're still in your marriage right now, or in your relationship, or it's maybe not marriage, right? But when you look at the future right now from where you are, so you've been in a relationship, let's say I don't know, but let's say you've been in a relationship couple of years. So you already collected a lot of data about your relationship. And our brain loves to do projection, right? It does it all the time, right? So think for a second. Everything that you have done in the past few years, if you keep doing it, where is your relationship going to be in the next year, in the next 3 years? So this is your current projection. Now, are you happy with this projection? We can do, this is like something that comes from NLP, so I'll do it very shortly, so I don't steal the lightning for those of you who are actually doing it, certified in NLP. But let's take a moment, everybody together. Think about something in your life that you don't like. Or think about a certain belief that you have that you think that it not really serves you. Or think about a fear that you have that you think that might come inside your way to make what may be a very risky decision for the future. Something that, a fear or belief that stops you from taking a radical decision, let's say. Okay? So take a few seconds, think about the situation in your life that you're not very happy with, or fear or belief that you have right now. And for those of you that everything is perfect, maybe like William, just think about something good is also okay. Yes, Bernadette, I totally agree with you, right? That's exactly the point of what we're doing now. So once you have this in mind, close your eyes and really try to imagine yourself as you are in your body right now, having this belief, fear, or situation that you have right now. How does it make you feel? How does having this fear, belief, or situation affect your mood, daily mood? How does it affect your relationship? How does it affect your finance? How does it affect your health? Now, imagine yourself getting a little bit older. Let's say we are jumping into our future self 5 years from now, but we're still having the same belief, fear, or situation. How do you feel now? You still have the same problem. How does your mood, how does it affect you? How does your relationship affect you? How healthy you are? How does it affect your finance? See yourself becoming a little bit older. Let's do it shorter. So let's step 20 years, 10 years into the future, and you still, nothing has changed. You haven't changed this core belief, fear, or situation. Look at your hands. See that they are a little bit wrinkled. You're old. Maybe you can look at the mirror. Do you like what you see in the mirror right now? How do you feel still having this problem in your life? How do your relationship, finance, and health looks like? Let's take one last jump into the future. Imagine yourself that you are very, very old toward the end of your life. And when you look back at your life, and you see that you haven't solved the situation, how does it feel? How does it feel looking back at your life and see that you still hold in this fear, belief, or situation? Take a deep breath. Clap your hand, wipe them together very, very quickly, and blow it out and come back to the present. Now, there's another part of the drill where we imagine what we want. But if you guys want to do that, maybe go to one of these NLP trainers that we have in the group. So I'll stop you here just for this discussion. And if anyone wants to share, if anyone is brave enough, transparent enough, or not, or understand that vulnerability is power, please unmute yourself and share with us, because we can all learn from that. Every time I do it with someone, I learn something. That was kind of your projection right now, right? Looking at your life in the future, when this relationship problem that you have, this finance problem that you have, this health problem, whatever it is, big or small, you haven't done something radical enough to change it. Now, I need to charge my computer, sorry. There we go. But sometimes, not always, hard decisions, it's good. Like someone was talking about decision, right? Hard decisions are good, because usually when you have a hard decision, it means that you have, you know, it means that you can actually make a big change in your life. If you cannot make hard decision, then you might be in a situation in your life that you're out of control. Okay, so for example, my mom is with Alzheimer, dementia. She cannot make hard decisions anymore. She can barely make any decision anymore, right? So so just to give a perspective, when you in life, in a situation that you know that making a hard decision have a big risk. What is this risk all about? This risk is about to completely change the trajectory of your life. And what we are afraid of many times, well, not Jennifer, not William, not a lot of us here, but a lot of people, they're afraid exactly from the unknown, from all the narrative of everything that can go wrong that they tell themselves, right? But being able to make this hard decision means that you are actually also in a position where you can absolutely transform your life. I found it very, very empowering. So if you're not doing anything radical right now to change your fear and belief by working with a coach or NLP, or going to a therapist about your relationship or relationship coach or whatever it is, if you or decided to divorce, right? I'm not saying what's good, what bad, there's no judgment. I'm just saying that if you did this drill right now and you are not happy toward the end or during the whole drill, maybe it's worthwhile to go a little bit deeper and ask yourself, okay, what are my options? And go to these options that, not that you have to choose them, just as a brain exercise, go to these options that look the hardest or the most unlikely or the most radical, just to consider them, what can happen. I know that everybody like that been through dangerous situation, everybody that served, like Adrian and maybe others, some of you guys also serve in the army or things like that. You know that life can change in a split of a second decision, right? And when you look at where you are today, you can see all the small decisions and the big decision that you make. So if you're able to reflect and find out what are the decisions right now that you are avoiding from making, why are you avoiding from making? I know that each and every one of us here can transform their life, can write a whole new chapter in your life that you never thought about before. You can expand or develop a new part of your identity that you've never dreamed of. I never dreamed about before actually buying the tickets to China. And even while I was in China doing my internship, I was not even capable of imagining myself doing this talk today to you guys, or being in China for so many years. I love my life right now. I wouldn't be able to imagine this kind of life that I have right now. Right? Anyone else want to speak, guys? I was hoping to have a discussion more than me. Share with me something, guys, ladies. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm Bernadette from Canberra. So I totally agree with you in that choices we make today is what brings the choices we make at any point in our life actually is what brings us to the very circumstances and context we are in. I mean, at least that has been my own journey. So, and more than ever, I'm sort of really conscious how my choices of now will impact my future life as well as those around me. So that's why it's very important to work with ecology as we set goals and make decisions. However, sometimes they might appear small decisions, and yet the impact can be quite substantial. So my own prayer is let it be good, both for me and for people around me. and let the ripple and let that create big good ripple effects.
Definitely. And this reminds me something also. When, for me at least, when I realize that life is not over when you're 60 or 70, I realize also that even if I take a decision, and now let's say the next 10 years of my life, I will, let's say the next 15 years in my life, okay, until I'm 60, I will spend doing something that I thought I love, and after 15 years, I realize I don't love it anymore. Well, I can go back. I can do something else again, right? People are so afraid sometimes from taking this radical decision because they think that right now they have to commit to it for the rest of their life, or if they commit for it long enough, they won't be able to change again. Or we think about our life as a period of wasted time. If we look at our life and any period of our life as a wasted time, then it might as well stop us from doing something very, very different. Think how many things, how many interesting stuff in our life, how many games, how many chapters we are not writing because we are afraid it might be a waste of time, right? So,
If I can
yes,
just jump in
Adrian,
and support what you're saying
please.
there. A lot of the times with investing, people own a property or stocks, and I'm not talking about relationships. I'm talking about stocks. But you know, I've been in it for so long, even though it's down, and even though I've lost money, and even though I'm stressing, you know, I want to keep a hold over it because selling it or ending it means I've made a mistake and I've wasted the last year. So I'm just going to hold on to it and hope it gets better. And I'm talking about investments here. I'm not talking about relationships.
Well, it's the same, right? It's the same concept. For some people, it's investing money. Some people, it's relationship. But here's the things, whether investing or relationship, if we learn more about it, if we invest more time and knowledge in learning about investment and learning about relationship, we minimize the risks. Second, we usually will get higher yield. Our return on investment is going to get higher and higher, right? The problem is where people invest, whether money or relationship, they invest everything or too much in only one thing. They're not diversified enough, which means in finance, it will be you invest in only one or two companies, or only in real estate, or only in one thing, that you not diversify your portfolio. Or when it's come to relationship, you think that, the only things I can do about my relationship is 1, 2, 3, and that's it. So we missed all the other options that I have when it's come to my relationship, which can be going for coaching, learning more about it, or can be even separation and divorce, right? Sometimes people need to break up the relationship. Not every relationship should be there, right? It's easy to take an example of abuse. How many people were or are in abusive relationship, which they're not capable right now to deal with, and for them the best things to do is to leave, right? Oh, I love that, Estrelita. The biggest risk is not taking any risk. That's so true. If the drills that we just did together, if you really hated the result, if you really like suffered doing these drills, So absolutely, the biggest risk for you is not taking any risk because you already know where you are going. Passiveness. And again, if you think I'm incorrect, let me know, give some example. But I think that passiveness, I mean avoidance of decisions, or trying to postpone decisions, or trying to postpone this risky decision, rarely brings us to good places. Every new moment is a choice point. Yeah, absolutely. Because there's one thing that we cannot do, and that's not choosing. Not choosing is still a choice. But a lot of us, we are doing it unconsciously. We unconsciously choosing or consciously choosing not to choose, right? Or we go into one decision which is more passive, right? Like, for example, okay, just stay in this relationship. Where active decision will be, okay, I'm going to find a coach, or okay, I'm going to separate, or okay, I'm going to do something else that I haven't done before. We tend to, some of our limitations come from the fact or the idea that we only choose from what we can see. We only choose from what we know. We only choose from the level of awareness that we currently possess. But one of the choices, this is one of the choices that I will recommend everybody to do, is to acknowledge that and then proactively search to increase your awareness. How do you do that? There are many different ways to do that. Acquire more knowledge. Challenge yourself. Doubt yourself. Whatever you do, whatever you believe in, search proof that you are wrong. Actively search proof that you're wrong. You might realize that in some aspects you're absolutely right. But it's most likely that in most of things in your life, you will find out that whether you are wrong or whether there are more choices, more options. And when you start to explore these options, you start to get more knowledge about things that you haven't done before. And you start practice those things. You start learning, you start practice those things. And what happened? You start to change. And as you change, your awareness level grows and you become aware of more and more things. I'll give you a very simple example. So as part of the training for me was always first aid, even before that I studied medicine and things like that. First aid was very, very basic. And they always told us like, oh, if you don't get your brain doesn't get oxygen for 2 or 3 minutes, you're going to get a brain damage. How many people heard that? Raise your hand. No, I'm the only one who yeah, okay. People know, right? So for years, doing stuff like breath hold and free diving was not even an option for me. I could never imagine myself being able to do some of the things that I'm capable of doing now, or more accurately, pre-COVID, and the thing that I'll be able to do again in the future, right? But luckily for me, at some point of my life, I was exposed to people where they were holding the breath for a long time, and they didn't get brain damage. So I started to explore it more. And this is how I found out about more free diving, also like Wim Hof and all kind of these, all the breath work. And there are so many, there are like dozens and dozens of breath work out there. And breath holding is part of them in some of the disciplines, right? So I challenge again everything that I've studied for years, and I search actively to prove myself that I'm wrong. And that led me to new research. That led me to different things that I never thought about. That led me to search for more and more people that can hold the breath, to make sure that these are not uniqueness, everybody can do that, right? So I look at world records, and I look at common people, and I look at blogs, and it eventually, what happened? I discover a whole new world, the underwater. I always love to swim. I'm from Israel. We are surrounded by lakes, rivers, seas, right? But now I'm able to explore it in such a deeper level. I'm able to enjoy my life in an amazing debate. And when I translate it into my wife, now my wife and me, we are like, everything we do is about water activity. We travel, everything, whatever it is, like water, have to be water, right? It changed our lives. It's added not only a whole different part of my identity that I've never thought possible before, but it allowed me to write a couple of amazing chapters in my life. So the simple question is, what holds you back from writing new chapters in your life that right now you're not even capable of imagining? I won't be surprised if one of these answers will be, consciously or unconsciously, that, well, right now I only focus on what I have, whether good or bad. The goals that I make for myself are based on what I have or don't have right now. There's a big difference between making goals or projection or things which are based on what I have or don't have right now, and between start to think about something that you have never, ever thought about before. I give you an example. I have a good friend in his 30s. He's also, like me, he's a very physical guy. He's a martial artist. And now he decided to be a ballerina. Amazing. I admire him. You know, professionally to become a ballerina, maybe it's not too late, right? This is what you say, oh, it depends how old you are, but does it matter? Right? He's training, doing split, doing like all kind of these ballerina. It's cool. You look at his video, he's gonna do like, one hand push up, one hand pull up, the 40-kilo pistol squat, and then voila, and some ballet inside. Play with life. So even the future projection that most of us doing right now, whether it's good or bad, is based on what we have or don't have right. But there's so much more. We have so much unlocked or dormant potential. I need to drink some water or rest, so you guys please talk. Yes. Anyone want to share, add something?
When I decided to, I had a stable job. I was permanently employed. I taught for 18 years in Jamaica, and I had my own house and white picket fence, and everything was just as how I was expected, to do. And I decided I needed more. There was more. I knew that there was something more that I needed to do with my life. When I told my family, they were like, "Are you crazy? You're gonna leave to China? Just okay, go to America or to Canada or to England. Those you already know those places." But I knew that there was something else, something more, and I didn't have a mentor. Nobody in my family, in my community, had ever done this before. I had no reference point, but I knew that I was going to step into an unknown country with a new language and everything. And it scared me. I was so scared, but then I was so excited because I wanted to know who I would become in this new space. And I've been here 4 years, and my life has totally been transformed.
And
Totally
look at you now,
transformed.
you're a
I
leader,
can't
right?
recognize the person I was, can hardly recognize the person I was 5 years ago. And I decided to do it afraid. Even though my family, they're amazed. They're saying, you're actually doing it. And I'm saying yes, because I chose to step out, being afraid, yes, but using that fear to propel me into where I'm at now. And this is great for me. I'm an author, I'm studying NLP, I'm learning more things, I'm upskilling, and it's an exciting journey for me. But I had to make the choice to do it afraid because I knew that there was something more, something bigger that I needed to achieve. And for many persons, they have no reference point. There's nobody in their family who has ever done anything like this. Nobody to say, okay, you're my mentor. I can look at you and say, you did this before. There's nobody there to say, hi, that person did it, I can do it too. And they are afraid. And starting over again, it's scary. It is scary. But then what's the flip side of not starting over again? I have come to learn to be uncomfortably comfortable, to accept being uncomfortable and being afraid, but accepting being comfortably afraid and be doing it afraid despite the fear. Because when I step out and I challenge myself and I learn and upskill and unlearn and change my mindset and all that, I'm evolving into a better version of myself than I was 7 years ago. And sometimes this person surprises me. When I look in the mirror, I say, wow, Jen, is that you? You're doing all of this? Girl, what would have happened if you did not do it? I'd be home saying, oh, I wish I had done this. And I don't want to reach the age of 55 and reach that point where I say to myself, I wish I had done this. I don't want to do that. So I choose to do it afraid. I choose to be uncomfortably comfortable. And I was doing it afraid and doing it, starting over again. It's an exciting journey for me.
Yeah.
So thank you for this topic, mates. And it's really interesting.
And thank you for inspiring all of us. And look at you, you are a leader because there was nobody else who did this before you. That's why you can help and inspire others, right? Exactly because of that. Tony Robbins said, the quality of your life determines by how comfortable you can be in uncomfortable situations or in uncomfortable, right? Something like that. Don't catch me on the word. And a lot of us, we all have fear, right? So when I compare, or that's what you did, correct me if I'm wrong, right? But from what I understand between in your words, and it's relevant to everybody, is that we all have fear, but you took two fears. What you are afraid that, the negative things that can happen if you take this chance, compare to the fear of how would you feel in the future if you haven't done it, right?
Right.
And this is why exactly we're doing this kind of like drills as I did before, right? So some of us do it naturally, and that's amazing, because that's where we absolutely change our life.
Yeah. Yeah. But we have to reach a point where we say, I don't want to stay here. I don't want to be here the next 5 years. I don't want to be in this spot. And then take the courage to step out. And it takes courage, it takes grit, it takes intentionality, it takes discipline. All of those factors you must employ to change your life. It's not going to happen overnight. It's a process, but you must be intentional in it and determined. And of course, grit. You must have grit to do it. And do it afraid.
Especially when people around you will tell you that you are wrong.
Yes.
But they're talking
family,
from
they
their
were
own
like,
fear
"No,
and
Jen."
care. Yeah,
Yeah.
They have good intention, right?
I know.
I think it's like something that's worth mentioning, because a lot of people that I've seen, that they complain about all the people that drag them down, or so I always try to say, look at the good intention of those people, because they're most likely speaking from 2 points, because they love and care about you, and from their own fear, they're projecting their own fear on you, right? And if this is what, if other people stop you from experiment with your life, then you're not living your life, you're living their life. And no wonder you're not going to be happy with it. Yes, Bernadette.
Yeah, I find for me, and I'm grateful when I look back for the naysayers in my life. And this time, yeah, I'm sort of a bit of a wild spirit, like defiant in a sense. And actually, this has taken me really off the beaten tracks. So, for example, I was born in Mauritius, and where most people go to country or choose to live in places like France or Europe, I didn't go to China, but I moved to Vietnam for 9 years. And just after the lifting of the embargo by the US, that was the best decision I had ever made, when everybody around me, I was, like, well, you must be crazy, yeah. And actually today, this is a decision that has brought me, happiness in all areas of my life. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, just a second, Jenny, and I'm pretty sure that, because you were saying that that was the best decision that you made, but I'm pretty sure that if a lot of us look at where we are today, if we look at the good things that we have right now in our life, it's also not only because we make right choices, but we make choices that at the time or after a while, we thought they were wrong, right? So for example, you broke up with someone and you felt crap for maybe half a year. Oh, that was so stupid. But then now you are married to someone that you love, or you are, a lot of the decision that the good and bad goes together. We cannot, it's very, if we try to assess whether or not a decision was right or wrong, how do we do that? I think it's a good practice to ask ourselves, how am I deciding, and why do I decide whether a decision I made is good or wrong? Because in this process, there might hide a problem for you, for each and every one of us. Because we cannot really assess a decision whether it's right or wrong unless we put it in the context of everything else in our life. And in order to do that, we have to look back much further than we usually do. You don't have to hide it, Bernadette. It's okay. Right? So rather than judge yourself whether, that was a stupid decision, that was a right decision, rather than do that, maybe it'd be more useful, again, to focus on, what we want, and learn to appreciate that wrong decision or good decision, all of them are decisions that we can learn from, that they can empower us. And sorry, yeah, Jennifer, failure does not exist. Go ahead, interrupt me, because you wanted to say something, Jenny.
No, I was applauding Bernadette. I was saying, girl, great choice. We did it, right? We're like, yeah, but I learned this from William, actually. Failure does not exist. There are always results. Thank you, William, for that.
And the best is yet to come.
Life is what? Can you say it again, please?
The best is yet to come.
Is yet to come. The best is yet to come. But here again, maybe here I'm going to be a little bit, you know, because I'm a self-development and I want to. The best is yet to come, but you need to take action.